Welcome everybody. Welcome to this super amazing NCERT marking series of the chapter Morphology in Flowering Plants for NEET and Boards 2023. So in today's class, we would be highlighting the NCERT and we will be reading the NCERT together. And I don't think there is a point in doing this session because while I was teaching morphology also, the NCERT statements were cut, copied, and I prepared the slides by myself. Okay. So the correct NCERT lines, actually we covered all the NCERT lines. Each and every lines of NCERT we have already read when we discuss in the class, because the direct, you can compare our previous detailed lecture slides with the NCERT. You will see the exact statements. Exact statement. I don't even have changed at least any prepositions or whatever. I haven't changed anything. Just exactly the same thing we have cut copy to prepare the slides, because I think that would be more easier for you to get each and every point. Otherwise, if we include some other slides or something, what happens is like we'll go beyond the topic and we'll talk about a lot of extra things. So let's get going with this morphology in flowering plants. Don't leave in between thinking like this is a premiering session. Watch till the end. Okay. Done, everybody. So let's get going with this super amazing chapter. Those who are watching the session right now, don't forget to hit the like button, to share it with your friends and subscribe the amazing platform for more updates on biology. Done, everybody. Okay, so let's move on to the session. Yes, so let's get started with the NCERT marking series. The wide range in the structure of higher plants will never fail to fascinate us. Even though the angiosperms show a large diversity in the external structure or morphology. So the external features, the study of the external feature or the external structure is what we call as the morphology. They are characterized by the presence, the angiosperm, the key features are characterized by the presence of root, stem, leaves, flowers, and fruits. In chapter 2 and 3, we talked about the classification of plants based on the morphology and other characteristics. For any successful attempt at classification and at understanding any higher plants, or for that matter, any living organism, we need to know standard technical terms and standard definitions. We also need to know about the possible variation in different parts found as adaptations of the plants to protect their environment. Example, adaptation to various habits for protection, climbing, storage. We have studied the modifications of the plant parts such as roots, even roots, leaves, stems, or whatever parts. They are actually modified to get adapted to the various habitat. For certain functions such as photosynthesis or protection, climbing, storage, defense, or whatever. If you pull out any weed, you will see that all of them have roots, stems, and leaf. They may be bearing flowers and fruits. Yes, this is an important statement. The underground part of the flowering plant is the root system, while the portion above the ground forms the shoot system. I hope you all can hear me properly because my throat is not well. So I'm talking a bit lower. So I hope you all can hear it. So the part of the flowering plant which is above the soil is called the shoot, and which is below the soil is known as the root. The root. In majority of the dicot plants, the direct elongation of the radicle, in majority of the dicot plants, the direct elongation of the radicle will lead to the formation of the primary root, which grows inside the soil. It bears the lateral roots of several orders that are referred to as the secondary, tertiary, etc. Guys, if this is the radicle, it will elongate. Okay, it will elongate directly to form the primary root. Okay, it will elongate to form the primary root. This particular root will get into branches that forms the secondary root. Okay, so this is the primary root, this is the secondary root. The secondary root will again branches out to form the small tertiary root. Okay, the primary root and its branches constitutes the tap. So we have already discussed regarding the same, that is the primary root and its branches constitutes the taproot system. So taproot system is a characteristic feature of the dicot plants and it is seen in the mustard plant. In monocotyledonous plant, the primary root is short-lived and is replaced by a large number of roots. So that type of root that originate from the base of the stem, NEET 2020 question. NEET 2020 question that constitutes a fibrous root system as you see in a wheat plant. Done, everybody. Once again, I will highlight the points for you. The primary root along with its branches will form the taproot system as you see in a mustard plant. And in a monocot plants, the primary root is short-lived and is replaced by a large number of roots. These roots originate from the base of the stem and constitutes a fibrous root system. We have done the rank booster series for morphology, and this was the first question I still remember. Okay, this was the first question that we done. The type of root that originate from the base of the stem. Direct NCERT question was asked for the NEET 2020. As you see in the wheat plant, in certain plants such as the grass, monstera, and the banyan tree, roots arise from parts of plant other than radicle. Roots arise from parts of the plant other than radicle. These type of root you will call them as the adventitious root. This is also a previous year question, a PYQ question. The main function of the roots. We'll be thinking like it's very easy, like absorption of water, minerals, all those things. But the question was very tricky. Each and every point is very important. The main function of the root system are the absorption of water and minerals from the soil, as what you already know. Okay, they help in the absorption of water and minerals from the soil. They help to provide a proper anchorage to the plant parts, storing reserve food material. And this is an important statement which everybody will fail to answer. That is synthesis of plant growth regulator. Very, very important. So roots of the plant plays an important role in the synthesis of certain plant growth regulators. That is plant hormones. So we already studied this is the soil. So all the parts that belong above the soil is known as the shoot system, and all those belong below, you will call them as a root system. This is the flower. Labelings are very important, even if it is a very simple diagram. This is the fruit, stem, leaves. This is the point from where the leaves, flowers, or whatever is arising, you will call them as the node. Space between two nodes, you will call them as the internode. And this is the bud. Okay. So this is the primary root and this is the secondary root. Done, everybody? Yes. This is a diagram given in the NCERT. So the first diagram is all about, the first diagram is given over here is the taproot system. Look, you will have the primary root. This is the primary root. This is the secondary root, which will again divide into tertiary root. Okay, so they are the lateral branches. This is the main root. That is a direct elongation. That statement of the NCERT is very important. The primary root of the taproot system is the direct elongation of radicle. We have already discussed with that point, right, everybody? Look, I'll show it once again. The direct elongation of the radicle leads to the formation of the primary root. This statement is very, very important and it is a previous year question. Done. You will get 3 to 4 questions from this chapter. For NEET 2020, direct questions. 4 to 5 questions was asked from this chapter and 2 of them were directly from a single paragraph even. Just imagine. This is the fibrous root. The fibrous root is a characteristic feature of the monocot and the adventitious root. Comment me what do you mean by adventitious root? Yes, everybody. The parts, the type of root that originate from parts of a plant other than radicle. Okay, other than radicle. Generally, all the roots originate from the radicle. The structure that originates from the radicle, you will call them as the root. So there are certain type of root which originate from the parts other than radicle. Such kinds of root, you will call them as the adventitious root. Okay, that type of root, you will call them as the adventitious root. 1 second, everybody. Yes. Regions of the root. Regions of the root. The root is covered at the apex by a temple-like structure called the root cap. If you have any doubt, you are free to ask me. I am viewing your charts. And if you want me to explain anything at that point of time, please do text me in Telegram so I will be able to clear that for you. Okay, so right now I am going a bit fast because we have already done this exact statements in the class. So if you have doubt, just take this session as a quick recap on reading the NCERT for the first time. I know most of you have already read it because I have received a couple of doubts regarding the same also. Regarding what, so what is this? What is that? Please explain this. I have received so many messages regarding that from each one of you, some of you and all, because there was a telegram quiz and also was conducted. So I hope most of you were prepared with these topics and all. Okay, maybe like you will be having difficulty in the families and all, so we'll discuss it anyway. Okay, so the root is covered at the apex by a temple-like structure called the root cap. It protects the tender apex of the root. One second. Yes. It provides the tender apex of the root as it makes its way through the soil. A few millimeters above the root cap, very important, above the root cap is the region of meristematic activity. And what are the importance of this region of meristematic activity? The cells found in this region are very small, thin-walled, and with dense protoplasm. What are the specialities? The cells of this region are very small, thin-walled, and is having dense protoplasm. They divide repeatedly. Region of meristematic activity, the cells of this region are capable of very fast division. The cells proximal to this region, the cells that is proximal to this region, that is nearer to the region, will undergo rapid elongation and enlargement and are responsible for the growth of root in length. This region is known as elongation, where the cells or the formed new cells will continuously go on elongating. That helps in the elongation of the root is the region of elongation. The cells of the elongation gradually differentiate and mature. Hence, this zone proximal to the region of elongation is the region of maturation. That is, first of all, guys, is region of meristematic activity. This is the diagram from your NCERT, which is very important. Region of meristematic activity. These cells will undergo rapid division and produces so many new cells. So that new cells have to get elongated. Then only we can tell like the root is growing. So those cells are passed on to the region of elongation. From the region of elongation, they have specifically mentioned the cells that is entering the region of elongation will mature faster, will mature and differentiate faster. So for maturation, they will move on to the region of maturation. Done. So from this region of maturation, some epidermal cells, which are very fine, delicate thread-like structures called the root hairs, originate from the region of maturation. And these root hairs absorb water and minerals. These root hairs absorb water and minerals from the soil. Is it clear for everybody? So this diagram is also important. This temple-like structure, you will call them as the root cap. And the structures originating from the region of maturation is the root hair. This root hair helps in the absorption of water and minerals from the soil. So these are the 5 main regions of the root, which is very, very important. They'll ask you to arrange from bottom to the top or from top to the bottom. From bottom to the top, the order is root cap, region of meristematic activity, region of elongation, region of maturation, and finally the root hair will be coming over there. Okay, each and every point is very, very important. Next part is the modification of the root. Roots in some plants changes their shape and structure and become modified to perform function other than absorption and conduction of water and minerals. Whenever the point that is a root comes to your mind, the thing that comes to your mind is it helps in the absorption of water. It helps the plants to get it fixed into the soil. So apart from that, there are many other functions which a root can perform. So in certain plants, if they have to perform other functions than absorption and conduction, water and minerals, the roots will get modified to form different structures, out of which few of them we are going to discuss. Some of the roots are modified for support, some are modified for storage of food, and some even for respiration and photosynthesis even. From this onwards, it's very important. Taproot of carrot and turnip, adventitious root of sweet potato gets swollen and store food. This is a previous year question. We have even done it for the Minty quiz as well, right? Sweet potato is a modified adventitious root. Sweet potato is a modified adventitious root. Look, in the NCERT, it is clearly marked. Carrot and turnip is the taproot modification. Okay, taproot. Carrot is a modified dash, taproot. Okay, sweet potato is a modified dash, modified adventitious root. Done. Done, everybody? Yes. So adventitious root of the sweet potato and taproot of the carrot and turnip gets swollen and stored food. Can you give some more examples? Have you ever wondered what those hanging structures that support the banyan tree, those hanging structures that support a banyan tree is known as the prop root. And similarly, the stem of maize and sugarcane have supporting roots coming out of the lower nodes of the stem. Very, very important. The maize and sugarcane have supporting roots that comes from the lower node of the stem. These roots are called stilt root. In certain plants such as rhizophora, growing in the swampy areas, many roots come out of the soil and grow vertically upwards. Such roots are called nematophores. Such roots that are present in the mangroves growing in the saline water, you will call them as marshy areas, nematophores, that help them to get oxygen for respiration. Done. So we have discussed about the taproot of carrot and turnip and adventitious root of sweet potato stored food. In banyan tree, you will have the prop root, those hanging structures that provide support to the plant. In the stem of maize and sugarcane will be originating from the lower nodes of the stem, and they are called the stilt root. And in rhizophora, which is growing in the swampy areas, many roots come above the soil and grow vertically upward. Such roots are called nematophores that help to get oxygen for respiration. This is a diagram which is given in the NCERT. This is also a diagram modification of the root for support in banyan tree. These are the hanging root. These hanging roots will be known as what? The prop root. Exactly like that, you will find modification of root for food storage. A given, that is in asparagus, you will find the root modified to form store food. Turnip and carrot, you will find what? It is the taproot modified to store food. Whereas in sweet potato, I'm keeping on repeating the same point, the difference in order to make you understand the difference between the modification of root in taproot and sweet potato, because already sweet potato has came for an exam. So there are chances for the carrot and turnip could come for the coming exams as well. This is the respiratory root. Look, these roots are generally positively geotrophic, but this is negatively geotrophic. These roots, since they are growing in a marshy areas, what happens? They won't get enough oxygen. Okay, so at that particular point of time, in order to get oxygen for respiration, the plant would make its roots grow vertically upward. So such nematophores are found in rhizophora. Done. The next part of the plant, which is the stem. What are the features that distinguish a stem from a root? The stem is the ascending part of the axis which bear buds, branches, leaves, flowers, and fruits. It develops from the plumule of the embryo of a germinating seed. The very important statement, the stem bears nodes and internodes. Generally a question can come for your exam like, what is the thing that makes a difference? Or sweet potato is a modified root, whereas potato is a modified stem. What is the difference? What makes them different? In potato, you will find the presence of nodes and internodes. Okay, in potato, you will find nodes and internodes, whereas in roots, you will never find nodes or internodes. The region of the stem where the leaves are born are called the nodes, while internodes are the portions between two different nodes. The stem bears buds. Okay, the stem bears small buds which may either be terminal or axillary. Stem is generally green. This is also a statement-based question. Stem is generally green when young and later often become woody and dark brown. You already knows that, right? When the plant is young, the stem will be green in color, and as it goes, it changes into dark green, and finally it will changes into woody and dark brown. This is also a previous year question as what we have discussed in the root. This is also a tricky question, previous year question. The main function of the stem is spreading out of the branches bearing flowers, leaves, fruits, etc. It contains the water and minerals and the other photosynthesis which are necessary. Stem performs a function of storage of food, helps in support, protection, and a vegetative propagation as well. It also helps in the process of vegetative propagation. Done, everybody? Yes. So these are the main points which you have to study in this particular point of slide. The function, what are the characteristics of stem? That is, it bears branches, leaves, flowers, and fruits. It bears knots and internodes. And what are knots? The point from where the leaves are originating. And what are internodes? The portion between two nodes. You will call them as the internodes. Done? Is it clear? Yes, I hope it's perfectly clear for everybody, right? I hope the sound is okay for everybody. Yes, I'm speaking a bit lower. The sound is, I don't know whether you can hear it properly. So if you cannot, please just use headset for better hearing, okay? Next is the modifications of the stem. I'm using a mic even in order to make it clear. So I hope, yes, the sound is there, I think. Modifications of the stem. The stem may not always be typically like what they are expected to be. We are always expecting a small kid. When you're asking to an LKG kid or a kindergarten kid, what happens is like, what is a stem? Then they'll go and touch the woody stem of the plant, right? They'll be thinking like this is the stem. But being a 11th, 12th grade, a NEET aspirant, a biology student, you have to tell them everything that we see above the soil cannot be the stem. Everything that we see below the soil is not the root, because stems can also be under the soil. Stems can be above the soil. Roots can be above the soil. So all the green structures that we see are not the leaf. It can be stem. They are modified to form different structures, right? So the stem may not always be typically like what they are expected to be. They are modified to perform different function. Underground stem, very important. Underground stems of potato, ginger, turmeric, samakinth, and colocasia are modified to store food in them. Underground stems of what all plants, each and every plant or vegetable is very important. Underground stem of potato, ginger, turmeric, samakinth, and colocasia are modified to store food in them. They also act as organs of perennation to tide over the unfavorable condition. They also act as organs of perennation to tide over the unfavorable condition. Next is the stem tendril, which is one of the many important previous year questions. Stem tendril, which is actually developing from the axillary bud. Yes, very important. Please note to this keywords. Guys, whenever you read it, you can make your own question so that you will never forget about it. When you read stem tendrils, some students have the habit of reading like this, reading only the bold letters. Stem tendrils, which develops from the axillary bud, and then like they'll study the example. But for NEET aspirants, they have to read each and every word and even very clearly, because they will be in the exam. Just simply they'll insert a word not in between and will confuse you. You will just simply read just exactly as how you revise everything. You'll just read it very fastly. You will never notice the word not or a negative sense over there. So at that time, you will make that option or that question also wrong. So read, even for the exam, even when you're revising, when you're studying everything, read each and every words clearly. Up to 10, we were just like telling like, read each and every sentence clearly. Here, both sentence and words is important. Even a small preposition change can make a sentence wrong for you, an option wrong. So we have to be very careful. So stem tendrils, which develop from the axillary buds, they are slender and spirally coiled and help the plants to climb as in gourds, that is the cucumber, pumpkin, watermelon, and grapevine. All these plants you will find the stem tendrils. Axillary buds of the stem may modified into a woody, straight, pointed structures called the thorns, and they are found in many plants such as citrus and bougainvillea. What is the function? They help in the defense. I asked this question for a Telegram quiz, right? Most of you remember, I think. The statement is over here. They protect the plants from browsing animals. That is, browsing animals means herbivorous animals that feeds on this grasses. So they will protect the plants from this browsing animals. That is the main function of the thorns. So that is seen in citrus and bougainvillea. Have you ever seen an animal, a cow or a deer or whatever, just feeding on a bougainvillea plant or a citrus plant, a lemon plant, orange? No, you'll find pointed thorns over there. Have you ever seen a plant? Have you ever seen an animal just feeding on the cactus? No, there are pointed thorns, spines over there in their body. So what happens? That all they use it as, they have, instead of having them for to prevent the water loss, they'll use it as defensive structures also. So that prevents them from getting grazed or browsed by the animals. Some plants of the arid region modify their stems into flattened structures in Opuntia, fleshy cylindrical structures in Euphorbia. That is, some of the regions, the stem will get modified photosynthetic function. The stem will get converted to perform a photosynthetic function. So such structures, you will call them as phylloclad. What you will call such structures as? You will call such structures as the phylloclad. They contain chlorophyll and carry out photosynthesis. Okay, the phylloclad present in cactus and euphorbia will carry out photosynthesis. This is very important. Phylloclad is flattened in Opuntia, fleshy cylindrical in euphorbia. Yes, guys, for ginger, samakinth, and potato, you will have the root, the stem modified to perform the function of storage of food. Second one, the axillary bud of the pea and all, not pea, of which all structures? Pumpkin, bitter gourd, watermelon, all those things just modified to form what? Modified to form the leaf tendrils. Yes. So that is a thing, or stem modification for support. And bougainvillea, look, the stem is modified to form spines. And the last one is the vegetative propagation, which we'll be discussing right now. Okay. Yes. Underground stem of some plants such as the grass and strawberry, etc., spread to new niches, and when older part die, new plants are formed. Okay, in certain grass and strawberries, the underground stem will spread to new niches and older parts die. New plants are formed. In plants like mint and jasmine, a slender lateral branch arises from the base of the main axis. After growing aerially for some time, they arch downward to touch the ground. A lateral branch with short internodes and each node bearing a rosette of leaf and a tuft of root, found in aquatic plants like Pistia and Eichhornia. That is what you will call them. You will call them as the offset, which is again a reproductive structure even. Okay, in banana, pineapple, and chrysanthemum, you will find the sucker. The lateral branches originate from the basal and underground portion of the main stem. They'll grow horizontally and beneath the soil and come out obliquely and upwards. They'll rise to form leafy shoot. Is it clear? We have completed the stem also. Give me hearts on the screen, everybody. So let's get going with the leaf. Come on. Yes. Next structure we are going to study is the leaf. The leaf is a lateral, generally flattened structure which is born on a stem. It develops at the node and bears a bud in its axil. The axillary bud later develops into a branch. Leaves originate, very important statement, leaves originate from the shoot-apical meristem and are arranged in an acropetal order. Already we have discussed what is an acropetal and a basipetal succession. They are the most important vegetative organs for photosynthesis. A typical leaf consists of three main parts. It's the leaf base, petiole, and lamina. The leaf is attached to the stem by the leaf base and may bear two lateral small leaf-like structures, which is known as the stipule. In monocot, the leaf base expands into a sheath covering the stem whole or partially. In some leguminous plants, the leaf base may become swollen, which is known as the pulvinus. Okay, in some leguminous plants, the leaf base may get swollen to form the pulvinus. The petiole, what is a petiole? The stalk of a leaf, helps to hold the blade to light. Long, thin, flexible petiole allow leaf blades to flutter in wind and thereby cooling the leaf and bringing fresh air to the leaf surface. Next, the third part is the lamina or the leaf blade. It is a green expanded part of the leaf bearing veins and veinlets. There is usually a middle prominent vein. That middle prominent vein, you will call them as the midrib, which is known as the midrib. this is a very important function. The veins provide rigidity to the leaf blade and act as channels of transport for water and minerals. And the shape and size of or the margin, apex and surface and extent of incision of the lamina varies in different leaves. Okay. So this green flattened structure, you will call them as the lamina. The stalk of a leaf, you will call them as the petiole. The stalk of a flower, you will call them as pedicel. So just compare it and study. Okay, small leaf-like structures known as the stipules will be present. Okay, this is the leaf base and this is the axillary, that is axillary bud. Done, everybody. Next is the venation. The arrangement of veins and veinlets in the lamina of the leaf is termed as venation. We already studied this as an example for a reticulate venation, and this is an example for a parallel venation. Yes, we have studied that parallel venation is a characteristic feature of monocot and reticulate venation is a characteristic feature of dicot plants. When the veinlets form a network, it is termed as reticulate venation. And when the veins or the veinlets run parallel to each other, you will call them as the parallel venation. Leaves of dicotyledonous plant generally possess reticulate venation, while parallel venation is a characteristic feature of most of the monocot plants. Done. Most of the monocot plants just show parallel venation. Most of the dicot plants just show reticulate venation. Type of leaf. A leaf is said to be simple when its lamina is entire or when incised, the incision do not touches the midrib. When the leaf is incised, it will never touches the midrib. When the incision of the lamina reach up to the midrib, breaking them into a number of leaflets, the leaf is called a compound leaf. A bud is present in the axil of the petiole in both simple and compound leaf. Okay, guys. So you can see a bud is present in the axil of the petiole, both in simple and compound leaf, but not in the axil of the leaflets. You will find the axil of the petiole. You will find a small bud in the axil of the petiole, both in simple and compound leaf, but you will never find an axil or a bud in the axil of leaflets. Okay, suppose this is a compound leaf, this is a compound leaf, you'll find a bud over here, but you will never find buds over here in these axil of the leaflets. These are all leaflets, right? So you'll find nothing over here, no buds over here. Okay, you'll never find in the axil of the leaflets, but you will find them in the axil of the leaf. Done. The compound leaf are of two types, that is pinnately compound leaf, where a number of leaflets are present on a common axis. The rack is the common axis where the number of leaflets are present in a pinnately compound leaf is known as the rachis, which represents a midrib, as in the neem. Done. So neem leaf shows pinnately compound in nature. They are pinnately compound structures. Whereas in silk cotton, it is palmately compound. That is, leaflets are attached to a common point at the tip of the petiole, as in silk cotton. Okay, everybody. Yes. Next is the phyllotaxy. You know what is phyllotaxy, right? It is a pattern of arrangement of leaves on the stem or the branch. This is usually of three types, that is alternate phyllotaxy, opposite phyllotaxy, and whorled phyllotaxy is there. In alternate phyllotaxy, a single leaf arises at each knot in an alternate manner. The examples are very important. That is the China rose. I'll highlight it for you. That is the China rose. Mustard and sunflower shows what type of phyllotaxy? They will show alternate phyllotaxy. Whereas in opposite phyllotaxy, a pair of leaves arise at each knot, as you see in Calotropis, guava plants, etc. If more than two leaves arise from at a node and form a whorl, it is called whorled phyllotaxy, as you see in Alstonia, Nerium, etc. Look, alternate phyllotaxy in China rose, opposite phyllotaxy in guava, and whorled phyllotaxy in Alstonia. You will find it out. Done? Yes. Next is a modification of the leaf. Leaves are modified to perform function other than the photosynthesis. They are converted into tendrils for climbing, as in peas. So leaf tendrils are found in peas, Leaf spines for defense are found in cactus. The fleshy leaves of onion and garlic store food. So leaves can even store food. In some plants, such as the Australian acacia, the leaves are small and short-leaved. Okay, the leaves are small and short-leaved. The petioles in these plants expand and become green and synthesize food. Leaves of this is a previous year question which we have already discussed. Leaves of certain insectivorous plants such as the picture plant, Venus flytrap, etc. The picture of the picture plant and a Venus flytrap, all those are the leaf modification, which is very, very important. Okay, everybody. Yes. Next is the inflorescence. What is inflorescence? Before studying what is inflorescence, you have to study a flower is a modified shoot. And the shoot apical meristem changes into a floral primordium. Internodes do not get elongated. Internodes do not get elongated and the axis get condensed. The apex produces different kinds of floral appendages laterally at the successive nodes instead of leaves. When a shoot tip, yes, this is a previous year AIMS question. When a shoot tip transforms into a flower, it is always solitary. Okay, when a shoot tip, when the tip of the shoot is converting into a flower, it will be solitary or a single flower will be born. So this arrangement of flowers on the floral axis is termed as inflorescence. Depending on whether the axis get developed into a flower or continues to grow, there are major two types of inflorescence. That is the racemose inflorescence and the cymose inflorescence. Okay, in racemose inflorescence, the main axis continues to grow and the flowers are born in an acropetal succession. Whereas in cymose inflorescence, the main axis terminates into a flower. Here, the limited growth of the axis and the flowers are born in a basipetal order. Done, everybody. So in racemose inflorescence, the axis continues to grow and the main axis continues to grow and the flowers are born laterally in an acropetal succession. In cymose inflorescence, the main axis terminates in a flower. Oh my God, I forgot to include the diagram. There is a diagram over here by the side of this inflorescence, so please take to that also. Flower. Flower is the reproductive unit in angiosperm. It is meant for sexual reproduction. Are you remembering that we discussed the same point in the class? We discussed exactly the same lines in the class. Are you remembering or forgot? So a flower have 4 different whorls, okay, which are born on the swollen end of the stalk or pedicel, which is called the thalamus or receptacle. They are the calyx, corolla, anthracim, and gynoecium. The calyx and corolla are the accessory organ, while anthracim and gynoecium are the reproductive organ. In some flowers, such as water lily, the calyx and corolla are not distinct and they are united to form perianth, or their individual unit we have studied, they are known as the tepals. When a flower has both anthracim and gynoecium in a similar plant, it is called bisexual condition, and when a flower is having either stamens or carpel, it is called a unisexual plant. Clear? So when both male and female are present in a single organism, you will call them as a bisexual, and if either male or female are present, you will call them as a unisexual. In certain flowers, you will find the actinomorphic symmetry, that is a radial symmetry, or zygomorphic, that is a bilateral symmetry. When a flower can be divided into 2 equal radial halves in any radial plane, you can call it as the actinomorphic, example mustard, datura, and chili. When the plant is divided into 2 equal halves in only one vertical plane, it is called zygomorphic, example is pea, bean, gulmohar, and cassia. Certain flowers are asymmetric, that is irregular, if it cannot be divided into 2 equal halves in any plane. Example is the canna. A flower may be trimerous, that is having 3 whorls, tetramerous having 4 whorls, and pentamerous even 5, so 3, 4, and 5 respectively. Flowers with bract reduced leaf found at the base of the pedicel, you will call them as bracteates, and without bract, you will call them as the abractate condition. Have you understood the difference between a bracteate and an abractate flower? Those which have a bract, you will call them as a bracteate, and without a bract, you will call them as the abractate condition. Okay, everyone. So actinomorphic plants is the mustard, datura, and chili, and the zygomorphic plants is the pea, gulmohar, bean, and cassia. Asymmetric flower is the canna. Based on the position of the calyx corolla, and rhizome in respect to the ovary on the thalamus, the flowers can be described as hypogynous, perigynous, and epigynous in nature. Okay, perigynous, hypogynous, and epigynous in nature. First of all, we are going to discuss about the hypogynous condition. Here, the gynoecium occupies the highest position where all other floral whorls are situated below that. Here, the ovary is said to be superior. Example, mustard, China rose, and brinjal. Okay, mustard, China rose, and brinjal. What you will find? You will find that they are having a superior ovary. They are having a superior ovary. Okay, they are having a superior ovary in mustard, China rose, and brinjal. The gynoecium is situated in the center and all other floral parts are located on the rim of the thalamus. It is called perigynous. That is, here the ovary is said to be the half inferior. PRP, plum, rose, and peach. In epigynous condition, what happens? The thalamus grows upwards. The ovary will be in the inferior condition. So you'll find an inferior ovary as in the flowers of guava, cucumber, and ray florets of sunflower. NEET 2020 question. Ray florets show which type of ovary? NEET 2020. Yes, everybody, inferior ovary is seen in guava, cucumber, and ray florets of sunflower. So these are the structures. That diagram number 1 shown as a hypogynous condition, B and C perigynous condition, and D is epigynous. Look, this is the gynoecium. I'll use some other color for you to highlight that. Okay, so guys, this is the gynoecium. It is situated above, so it will be having a superior. Right? Look, this is the gynoecium. These are located at the rim of the thalamus, so they are known as half inferior. They are not superior, they are not inferior, but they are half inferior. And look, the entire gynoecium is present below. All other floral whorls are above, so they are known as the inferior ovary. Done, everybody? Yes. Next is the parts of a flower. Parts of a flower. That is, first one is a calyx. The calyx is the outermost wall of a flower and the members are called sepals. Generally, sepals are green, leaf-like and protect the flower in the bud stage. The calyx may be gamosepalous, that is, sepals are united to each other, or they are polysepalous, the sepals are free. Corolla is composed of petals. They may be brightly colored to attract insects for pollination. Like calyx, corolla may also be united to form gamopetalous or polypetalous if they are free. The shape of corolla may vary from one plant to the other depending upon the shape, even they'll vary. Next topic that we have to study is a very important topic, that is the estivation. The mode of arrangement of sepals and petals in a floral bud with respect to the other members is known as the estivation. There are mainly 4 types of estivation, that is a valvate estivation, twisted estivation, imbricate estivation, and the vexillary estivation. Let's move on to the first one. When sepals and petals in a whorl just touches one another at the margin without overlapping, as you see in Calotropis, you will call them as the valvate estivation. What you will call them? You will call them as a valvate estivation. If one margin of the appendage overlaps to the next one, as in China rose, lady's finger, and cotton, such type of an estivation, you will call them as the twisted estivation. You will call them as the twisted estivation. If margins of the sepals or petals overlap one another but not in any particular direction, as in Cassia and Gulmohar, such type of estivation, you will call them as the imbricate estivation. And finally, you have the pea and bean flower. There are 5 petals. That's the largest standard. Largest petal is the standard, which overlaps 2 lateral wings, which in overlap. The smallest anterior petals, which is a keel. This type is known as vexillary or papillonaceous estivation. Is it clear for everybody? Up to estivation, is it perfectly clear? Tell me yes or no on the chat. Yes. Moving on. So estivation, you have to study what are the different types of estivation, what do each one stands for, and also what are the examples of each. So this is a diagram. The stalk of the leaf is known as a pedicel. This is a calyx, corolla, anthracim, and gynoecium. Okay, this is the calyx. This is the corolla. They have separated the parts for you. Anthracim, and this is the gynoecium. These are the parts of a flower, and this is a diagram given in the NCERT. Chances for this kind of a diagram for your NEET exam is low, but we cannot just ignore the possibility. This diagram is definitely going to come for your NEET exam, NCERT based, and this is previous year question as well. So just touches the margin, valvate, overlaps one another in a specific direction. We'll call them as a twisted estrivation. If they're overlapping in no direction, in no specific direction, you will call them as the imbricate estrivation, and last one is the vexillary estrivation. The large petals, you will call them as the standard. These are the wings, and two regions, small, which are fused, you will call them as the keel. Clear? Clear, everybody? So how many slides are for us to complete? We have total of 46 slides and we have reached 28. Yes, anthracim. Anthracim is composed of these stamens. Each stamen, which represents the male reproductive part, consists of a stalk called filament and a bilobed structure called the anther. Each anther is usually bilobed, and each lobe has two chambers called the pollen sac. A sterile stamen is called staminode. Very important. If the stamens are attached to the petals, you will call them as Epi Petals, as in brinjal, or epiphyllous if they are attached to the perianth, as in the flowers of water lily. The stamens may either remain free, that is polyandrous, or may be united. The stamens may be united into one bundle or one branch, that is monoadelphous condition, as in China rose, two bundles, diadelphous in P, into more than two bundles, polyadelphous in citrus. And the length of the filament may vary in certain flowers, that is in salvia and mustard. You will find there is a variation in the length of the filament. Okay, so what are the main points? You have to study what are the two major components of the anthracim, that is stamen and the anther, and sterile stamen is called staminode. Epipetal is anthracim combined with the petals, as in brinjal. Epiphyllous, anthracim combined with the perianth, as in flowers of water lily. Monoadelphous condition, one bundle, one bunch or one bundle, as in China rose. Two bundle, diadelphous in P. More than two bundles, polyadelphous in citrus. And there is a variation in the length of the filaments within the flowers, that is in salvia and mustard. Gynoecium is the female reproductive part. Gynoecium is the female reproductive part of a flower. Okay, and is made up of carpels. A carpel consists of three parts, that is the stigma, style, and ovary. Ovary is the enlarged basal part. Okay, the style connects the ovary to the stigma. The stigma is usually present at the tip of the style and is a receptive structure for pollen grain. Important. Okay, stigma, receptive structure for the pollen grain. They bear a flattened cushion-like structure called the placenta. If they are free, if the carpels are free, that is apocarpous condition as seen in lotus and rose, and they are termed as thin carpels if the carpels are fused, as in mustard and tomato. After fertilization, the ovules develop into seed and ovary matures into a fruit. So here you have to study what are the three major portions of the gynoecium, that is the stigma, style, and ovary. The stigma is the receptive structure, style connects the ovary to the stigma, and ovary is the basal enlarged portion. Okay, and placenta, which is a flattened cushion-like structures into which the ovary, inside the ovary to which the ovules are attached, is present. And if the carpels are fused together, it is syncarpous condition, as you see in mustard and tomato. They may be free in lotus and rose, then you will call them as the apocarpous condition. After fertilization, that is in the post-fertilization events, the ovules will develop into seeds and the ovary will develop into a mature fruit. Next is the placentation. The placentation, the arrangement of ovules within the ovary, is known as a placentation. Marginal, axial, parietal, basal, and free central. I know I am moving a bit fast, but already we have discussed all these points in the class. So if you have any doubt and wants me to explain anything better, you can ask me. I will explain it. Done. Don't sit idly over there without just interacting, just thinking like this is not a live session. So nobody will be viewing it. I'll be leaving in between. I'll be having food in between. Take your NCERT, be attentive in the class. Okay, in marginal placentation, the placenta forms a ridge along the ventral suture of the ovary. Okay, as you see in P, when the placenta is axial and the ovules are attached to it in a multilocular ovary, it is said to be axial placentation. As you see in China rose, tomato, and lemon. In parietal placentation, very important previous question, the ovules develop on the inner wall of the ovary or on the peripheral part. The ovary is one chambered, but it becomes two chambered due to the formation of a false septum. So in parietal placentation, there is a formation of a false septum. Example is the mustard and argemone. When the ovules are born on the central axis and septa are absent, as in dianthus and primrose, the placentation is known as the free central placentation. Okay, the placentation is called to be as a free central placentation, and basal placentation in sunflower and marigold, the placenta develops at the base of the ovary and a single ovule is attached to it. These are the diagram. The first one shown is the marginal placentation. Okay, arranged in the ventral suture. Second one is the axial placentation. Third one is the parietal placentation. Very important, you have to study. Fourth one is the free central placentation. And last one is the basal placentation. Diagram based questions can even come. Instead of directly asking the examples from the NCERT, they can confuse you by asking this diagram to match it with the correct diagram even. Clear? Yes. Next is the fruit. Next part of the chapter is the fruit. It is a characteristic feature. It is a ripened or a mature ovary which is developed after fertilization. If a fruit is formed without fertilization of the ovaries, then such a type of fruit is called parthenocarpic fruit. Example, banana. I think I have not told the example there also. You can write it right now. Banana is a parthenocarpic fruit. Okay, guys, you might have heard about the seedless grapes and all. Okay, seedless grapes and all, right? Generally, the fruit consists of a wall or the pericarp and the seeds. The pericarp may be dry or fleshy. When the pericarp is thick or fleshy, it is differentiated into outer epicarp, middle mesocarp, and an inner endocarp. In mango and coconut, the fruit is called the drupe. It is developed from the monocarpellary superior ovary and are one-seeded. Okay, since they are obtained from a monocarpellary, only one carpel, monocarpellary superior ovary. That is hypogynous condition, monocarpellary hypogynous condition, superior ovary. One-seeded, they are known as the drupe. Okay, in mango, the pericarp is well differentiated into an outer thin epicarp, a middle fleshy mesocarp, and an inner stony endocarp. In coconut, which is also a drupe, the mesocarp is fibrous. In mango, the edible portion is the mesocarp, whereas in coconut, the edible portion will be the endocarp, because the mesocarp will be fibrous. Epicarp will be the hard stony structure, whereas in mango, the epicarp is the stony structure. Done. You know that after fertilization, the ovules are going to convert into seeds. A seed is made up of a seed coat, an embryo. An embryo is consists of a radical and embryonal axis, one cotyledon in wheat and maize, two cotyledon in gram and pea. That is, in dicot plants, you will find two cotyledon. And in monocot plants such as wheat and maize, you will find a single cotyledon. Structure of a dicot seed. The outer covering of a seed is known as a seed coat. The seed coat has two layers, the outer testa and inner tegument. The hilum is a scar on the seed coat through which the developing seeds were attached to the fruit. Above the hilum, there is a small pore called the micropylar end. So before this is the outer epicarp, middle mesocarp. This is fleshy in mangoes, fibrous. In coconut, this is a seed and this is a endocarp. These fruits, both mango and coconut, is referred to as the drupe. Okay. So two cotyledon and an embryonal axis is seen in a dicot plant. And the cotyledons are often fleshy and full of reserve food materials. At the end of the embryonal axis are present the radicle and the plumule. The radicle will give rise to the future root. and the plumule will give rise to the future shoot. In some seeds, such as a castor, the endosperm is formed as a result of double fertilization and are called endospermic seeds. That is, even after fertilization and all, also the endosperm will be remaining over there. Okay, in bean, gram, and pea, the endosperm is not present in a mature seed, and such seeds are called non-endospermous seed. This is a very important, frequently asked question for your exam. Endospermous seed. Which one of the following is an endospermous seed, which is a non-endospermous seed? Seed coat, outer covering, you will have a small hilum, and above which you will find the micropyle, two cotyledon, the plumule, which is the upper portion, and the radicle, which is the lower part. Right? This is the structure of a dicot seed. Next is the structure of a monocot seed. Monocot seeds are generally endospermic, but as in orchids are non-endospermic. In the seeds of cereals such as maize, the seed coat is membranous and is generally fused with the fruit wall. The endosperm is bulky and stores foods. The covering of the endosperm that separates the embryo by a proteinaceous layer called the aleuron layer. The cotyledon of the monocot, you will call them as scutellum. The scutellum is referred to as the cotyledon of the monocot seed. There is one large shaped cotyledon which is a scutellum with a short axis plumule and radicle. Plumule is covered by the structure called coleoptile. Radicle is covered by a structure called coleorhiza. Is that clear for everybody in the class? What is coleoptile and what is coleorhiza? Is it clear? Yes, moving on. This is a diagram, very important diagram for your NEET exam. Okay, diagram based questions can ask for your exam. Done. Endosperm, scutellum, plumule covering coleoptile, and radicle covering coleorhiza. These four labelings are very important and are previous year questions itself. Done, everybody. Next is a semi-technical description of a typical flowering plant. So we'll be discussing the important points, that is BR stands for bractate, K stands for calyx, C for corolla, P for perianth, A for anthracim, G for gynoecium, G with hyphen underground. That's a line drawn underground, indicates the superior ovary. G with a hyphen above, you will have the superior ovary. This is the male, this is the female. Bisexual plants. This symbol indicates the actinomorphic condition. This indicates a zygomorphic condition as well. Okay, everybody. So actinomorphic and zygomorphic flower. Okay, fusion is indicated by enclosing the figure in the bracket A5. If they are united, then a bracket. If they are attached with the corolla, then you will draw a symbol like this. Right? Yes. So let's discuss the first part. That is a Fabaceae. Fabaceae, you don't have to study about too much of things. They are early known as the Papilonidae family. That is a Leguminosae family. And they have root nodules. Point number 1. Okay, root nodules. This floral diagram is important, guys. So please check into that. Okay, please just look into this diagram, which is important. Bisexual zygomorphic. Done. Until just study those points which I am going to tell you. Okay, everybody. Bisexual zygomorphic. Point number 1. Done. Bisexual and zygomorphic. 5 sepals, gamosepalous condition. 5 petals, polypetalous. Gamosepalous means they are fused. Right? They are fused. Then calyx, they are 5. Polypetalous. Right? They are arranged in the posterior, standard, lateral, and winged petals. That is C1 plus, 2 plus, and the last 2 are fused. You have to indicate it like this. Right? Done, everybody. Anthracim is 10, which is in the diadelphous condition, and gynoecium is an ovary superior monocarpellary. That is, we have studied monocarpellary. So this is the floral formula, which is very, very important. Done. Study the examples which are 100% previous year question and can be your question. Pulses, gram, ahar, sem, moong, soybean, edible oil, soybean, groundnut, etc. Dye, indigofera fiber, sunhemp, fodder, sesbania, trifolium, ornamentals, lupin, sweet pea, medicine, mulati, etc. Right? So these are some of the common examples which are very, very essential in your point of view. Done. And the examples. Solanaceae family known as a potato family. Okay, Solanaceae family is commonly known as a potato family. Look this diagram number F. Please stay tuned with that. Okay, please study that. Okay. Inflorescence, bisexual, actinomorphic sepals 5, that is persistent and united, 5 petals united. Stamens 5, Epi Petals, bicarpellary condition. This is the floral formula for a member of Solanaceae family. The examples are important. Previous year question is chili. This time they can ask you chili, petunia. Everything is very, very important. Sometimes this year they can ask you, what is the floral formula for a tobacco? What is the floral formula for tomato? What is the floral formula of ashwagandha, belladonna, all those things? Then this is the floral formula. That is, they all are belonging to the family Solanaceae. Last family is the Liliaceae family. The last family is the Liliaceae family. The vegetative characters are there. You have to study their actinomorphic, bisexual. Easily you can identify tepals 3 plus 3. Stamens, epitepals, they are connected. Right? So this is the floral formula. Done, everybody. Examples is important. Commonly asked is aloe, asparagus, and collyrium. Done. So this is a diagram. So stay tuned or study this diagram because this is what is given in the NCERT and can be a question for your exam as well. Done, everybody. So that marks the end of the super amazing NCERT highlight series for morphology of flowering plants. We have successfully completed. How many slides? Just 47 slides. So that marks the end of the super amazing premiering session for morphology of flowering plants NCERT highlight series. So bye-bye, take care, and see you in the next class with yet another super amazing video.